Hi, welcome to Town Topics. I'm WCTV Executive Director Sean Neville. This program is produced with the Town Manager's Office, and it's all about topics and issues facing the town of Wilmington. This month, I'm happy to have the Town DPW Director, Michael Woods, on the program. Michael, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about a few timely issues coming up in just a minute or so, but I just wanted to kind of talk generally about the DPW in Wilmington. A lot of things fall under your umbrella in town. If you can just kind of talk about some of the big items that your office handles.
Well, the biggest item that we handle is people's complaints and needs and concerns. You know, anything that has to do with maintenance or construction of the town roadways or any of its infrastructure is handled by Public Works, either from the engineering end all the way down to the menial tasks that need to be done to keep the town looking nice. So just managing all that and managing staff and keeping most folks happy, that's our primary mission.
I saw a note on your website, 110 miles of roadway and other infrastructure in town. It's a lot to keep tabs on.
There is a lot. There's 110 miles of roadway, and we have 125 miles of water main, about 25 miles of sewer main, water treatment plants, 9 sewer pump stations, 2 water treatment plants I probably should point out, and with that, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
You know, then the sidewalks and all the parks and grounds and the cemetery. So we take care of all of that.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your staff. How big is the staff, and do you use some contracted help for stuff like this? Do you use seasonal workers?
All of the above. We have 8 divisions, and there's 50 full-time employees, including myself. We do hire 13 seasonal folks, and we use 3 part-time people. The part-time people, unlike the seasonal folks, they come on earlier and they stay a little later.
Yeah.
And 2 of the part-time folks, they actually run the septic station where the septic services empty their effluent.
Okay.
So they stay on year-round, but
Yeah.
just work like 15 hours a week.
Yeah. In terms of issues that have specifically come up recently, I mean, obviously we're coming off a very dry summer, and the drought is something that you've been keeping an eye on?
That's probably been the #1 concern of ours going back to early summer, and we've been tweeting out, using social media to get the word out. We've also had some signboards around town. The drought is still in a critical stage. Once the ground freezes, the water will not recharge going over the winter months. We don't see any large rain in the forecast, and the ground freezing is coming quickly. So we do have concerns. You know, we still want folks to know that they should be using water wisely. Try not to waste it. If you have a dripping faucet or something like that, it should be corrected. It's amazing how fast that water adds up, and we're just not sure what next year is going to bring, and we want to be able to have water for all its residents and businesses, and not to have to do anything severe to make sure we have enough water to last us the year.
People don't want to hear it, but quite a bit of snow this winter would help come springtime, wouldn't it?
It would help. Yeah, nobody wants a winter like the one we had 2 winters ago, but certainly that would help. I'd prefer to see maybe half of that amount of snow and maybe a lot of spring showers.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays out this year.
Good. Back in 2015, the town instituted a new trash and recycling program, and I wonder if you can, I know you met with the selectmen about a month or so ago on this issue. Talk to people about how that program has been working and how it got implemented and how it's running.
Well, we were coming up on our contracts, and so we had to go out to bid, and rather than do it the way that it's always been done, and we decided to go with the new and up-and-coming way to take care of trash, which is automated, reduces manpower, and it's far cleaner, and that means we don't have to go out and do trash details as often as we would with, you know, people just put trash out, and some put the covers on, some don't, and birds and animals get into it and what have you, so it does tend to make a mess. This program limits the amount of trash that you can put out to that 64-gallon barrel, which in some ways forces you to recycle more because you have this large barrel, you condense everything down, and recycling is far cheaper for us to deal with. We pay about the same price to pick up trash as we do recycling. But trash, currently we're paying about, believe it is now $64.58 a ton.
Okay.
So for every ton that comes in, we have, they pick up and they bring to Wheelabrator where it's incinerated, we have to pay $64.58 per ton. So
Try to get people to wrap their minds around a ton of trash. How much does the town generate on a weekly basis, or how much does a barrel typically weigh? Or
well, I'd say a barrel typically weighs about 40 pounds.
okay,
So 50 trash barrels would be about a ton.
okay,
So the numbers that we have, I would say that we do about 562 ton, 565 ton a year.
okay.
So you multiply that number out by
Start
the
doing some
65.
math, and
It's
it
a
adds up.
significant number.
Yeah, yeah.
So with this program, recycling actually increased. We were running after many years of trying to get folks to recycle, and the educational part of it, we had got up to about 17% recycling. Once we instituted this program, within a few months, we had increased that by 10%. So we're running about 27, 28% recycling as of this moment, and we're hoping to get that up closer to 35. So that comes out of the waste stream.
Mm-hmm.
It means we don't have to pay that $65 a ton, which does escalate every year by $2, $3 a ton. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. What's been the feedback in the community? I'm sure when this started, there were some people unsure of how the system was working. But what have you heard recently, or what have you heard in the last 6 months or so?
Well, actually, the worst of it was when we first brought it to the attention of the selectmen that we wanted to move this way, and they authorized it. There were a lot of concerns, a lot of fears. We generated a lot of phone calls. We did some outreach to various groups and tried to help out with it, and we did get a lot of negative feedback. We stuck with it. We implemented it on July 1st with the new contract. I would say it was at most 2 months of the learning curve. We relaxed some of the regulations a bit to help people along. But after that 2 months, I think, I don't want to say everyone, but certainly most folks actually found they liked the program. The barrels were easy to maneuver. The large barrel wasn't as onerous as they thought it would be.
Yeah.
And they learned that if they ever a couch they need to get rid of, they could still do that. And the program is really moving quite easily. We get very few complaints about that.
And from your perspective, it's a success story.
It's a success story. I believe that the vast majority of folks really enjoy the program. And having a 27% recycling, I think that's good for the town, good for the finances of the town, and good for the planet, quite honestly. So good program.
We talked a little bit about snowfall coming. You oversee the roadways, which means you oversee getting the snow off the roadways. And I guess kind of what do you do this time of year before the snow's even fallen to kind of make sure you're ready for when it does happening?
Well, it's sort of rote by this point. Moving snow hasn't changed much over the years. The equipment's gotten better, the chemicals have gotten better. But first thing we do is put all the sanders on the dump trucks. We use, I believe it's 7 of those. Sanders, 6 we use all the time. Then we have a backup one, or one that if there's a municipal parking lot or something that's a problem, we use that to go out there and take care of that. We put the cutting edges on all the plows, weld them up to beef them up, make sure all the emergency lighting's working. We check our GPS system, make sure it's working fine. All the town's trucks have GPS on them, so I can pull it up on my computer and see where all trucks are located, what speeds they're moving at, and what they're doing. So we get complaints, I'll know, what I have for forces in that particular area, and get word out that something needs to be done. Check all the emergency lighting, and then sit back and wait for it to snow or ice.
Yeah. You know, plow truck drivers can sometimes get a bad rap, but it's a tough job, long
It
hours
is.
for these folks, and they're out driving on roadways that everyone else is advised not to be out driving on them, right? And I guess just what would be your message to the community when they see these drivers out on the roads, and if people start getting either frustrated with what they're seeing or discouraged with that their road doesn't get plowed, and I guess it's just probably preaching a lot of patience out there.
True. We have a large force out there. We hire about 55 contractors. We have about 35, 36 pieces of equipment of our own that we send out. Said earlier, we have 125 miles of roadway that we clear off, and 26 miles of sidewalk that we take care of, plus all the parking lots for the churches, the municipal buildings, and the schools. So there's a lot to do. A lot of time these snowstorms tend to hit in the afternoon, and so the guys have been in since 6:30 in the morning. They've worked all day. They go home, get a quick bite to eat. They come in and work through the night and into their next work day. So they're tired. It's a tough job when doing that. There's very long hours. But what I could tell residents is that staying off the road when the equipment is out is the biggest help they can do to us. And certainly keeping the vehicles off the road, which the town does have a bylaw for that. We don't like to plow people in. We certainly don't want to hit any vehicles. We don't want to make it any more difficult for folks than it already is when it snows hard. And I know it's upsetting when you just plowed, shoveled the end of your driveway and the plow comes by and pushes it back in. But unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The snow just keeps coming off the plow blade, and that's the way it works. But the traffic severely hampers our ability to get the job done efficiently. The other thing is that we keep office staff available to take complaints, and it's more or less the same folks that call all the time. We're aware of the trouble spots in town. We know where it's difficult. In the early part of the storm, we're just out there opening up the roadways so the majority of people can get around, and the emergency vehicles can get to where they need to be if something takes place, and things do take place that are difficult during snowstorms for the emergency services. So, maybe we don't clean up your street just perfect, but we'll get there. We'll get it done within a few hours after the snowstorm ends.
Yeah.
For us, it's just opening things up and keeping the main drags open and keeping everyone safe. That's our priority.
Good, good. You talked a little bit about kind of the trucks and whether it be plow trucks or pickup trucks. The orange trucks around town are hard to miss. People know when the DPW is driving through town. I wonder just if you could talk a little bit about the fleet of vehicles that you have and what it takes to maintain those and keep those all on the road.
Sure. Well, the orange trucks are slowly being transitioned over to white trucks.
Okay.
We actually have to pay a premium to have them painted orange. White is a standard color, so and it stands out there a bit easier to keep clean, so we've gone to white. When we plow with these 35 pieces of equipment that I mentioned earlier, I do have a list here. We have 2 10-wheel dump trucks, 9 6-wheel dump trucks, 2 backhoes, 2 front-end loaders, 8 1-ton pickups, 7 3/4-ton pickups, a road grader, 2 high-powered track sidewalk plows, and 2 bobcats with snow blowers. So that with the 55 contractors, which are all 3/4 and 1-ton pickups, and 1 loader, that's what takes care of the town during a significant storm.
Good.
So, like I said, it's all that roadway, all the parking lots, the cemetery, and other things like that. So there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
To maintain that equipment, we have 4 mechanics, 1 foreman and 3 mechanics. They all work as all hands on deck. If they get a little behind, a couple of the folks that are maybe mechanically inclined will step in and give them a hand. But the 4 of them do an excellent job at keeping things running through the night. It's constant welding, constant fixing. Maybe it's just band-aiding it to get it through the evening or through the snowstorm, and then they'll fix it, 100% the next day or a couple of days later.
Good. Mike, anything we didn't touch on that comes out of your department? Any projects coming up or anything else you wanted to mention?
We do have a large water main project that's going to take place down by the North Intermediate School. It's a water main that'll go from basically the school over I-93 being hung on the bridge and connected up at Ballardvale Street. That water main broke about 2 years ago. It's a 6-inch, vastly way undersized. We've had it on our radar to replace it with a 12-inch. Now with the breaking of it a couple of years ago, we've been through the design phase and everything will be going out to the construction part of it this construction season, hopefully.
Okay.
That'll be one of the larger projects that'll have impacts to the community. And the other projects that we've done, really they've all been completed. You know, we just redid April Field, people call it Town Park. Just finished that up. We built a new firing range for the police department, paved a lot of roadways, which I'm sure
Everybody's
folks have
noticed the new roadways, yep.
So, yeah, for this budget, which we're doing right now, the funds are available in July. We're looking to do some things with traffic. Last year, we did have money allocated to us to do a traffic study. That's another important project.
I think you'll find plenty of people in town looking to weigh in on a traffic study.
Yeah, yeah. So we took the 26 highest used intersections and have a consultant, a traffic consultant, come in and do counts and check what the issues are, and as a way to mitigate these problems, you know, by widening or changing the lighting frequency, or maybe a total revamp of the intersection. So we expect to have that report probably by summer, and then we will use that as a guide to, you know, maybe move each year with doing an intersection or two, and try to help with the traffic situation here. Certainly during commuter hours, it can be a bit tough, and Wilmington's not unique. Every community outside Boston faces the same issues. So.
Yeah, but that's good to know. I mean, people can look forward to that next summer and try to see maybe where some improvements can be made. That's interesting. Right.
Some people consider it improvements, others maybe not. You know, we had done a project at Glen Road in 62 that everyone is aware of, and that was probably 10 years in the making because it was state funded, and got a lot of criticism for it. A lot of people liked it the way it was, and I think folks have gotten used to it now, so the criticism has died down.
It seems like early on there was a lot of criticism on the light sequencing, and that got fixed.
Right.
It seemed like over time.
Right. We were out there every week. We would take notes and figure out what the problems were and what times these problems were occurring, and then we'd bring the consultant out and rework the timing and sequencing of the lights. And yeah, it certainly works a lot better. If you're on 62 and that's the route you traveled, you never had to stop before, it's not going to be like it is now. But the people coming out of Glen Road and Wildwood Street, far safer for them. So you have to give a little to get a little, I guess is
absolutely
the way the story goes.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. We're going to close with a couple of, unless you had something else on your list here.
No, I think you've covered everything that we had talked about earlier. And you know, I'd certainly like to give recognition to my staff. I'm very fortunate. All the folks that I mentioned earlier that we have, they're all exceptional. I really have minimal problems with staff. They all really care about the town. They care about the job they do, especially when adverse conditions strike, major water main break, snowstorms, major storms in the summertime, you know, where you get a lot of trees down, wind damage and things like that. It's all hands on deck, and they really come together and work hard and do everything they can do for the residents of town.
Good.
And can't thank them enough. They make my job easy.
Great. Good. Mike, let's close with a couple of fun questions here. We're taping this right before Thanksgiving. Talk to me about what you're looking forward to most to putting on your plate next to the turkey next Thursday.
Yeah, that's I always look forward to eating. You know? And that is one of my favorite meals and probably my favorite holiday. So we are looking forward to that. But we also know that Thanksgiving typically starts the horrors of the snow and ice season.
Yeah, hopefully it gets pushed off a little bit. You don't get called in for too many holidays this year,
well,
right?
If you remember right, I believe it was 2 years ago, we got about 8 inches of snow, and not only had to plow the streets down, but we have the big football game and on the turf field, and we had to remove all the snow off the turf field, plus all the bleachers and benches. So that took us until about 9 o'clock in the morning before we got it all done. Yeah. The guys were beeping. I'm sure they still ate that day, and the football game went on.
Yeah. See any good movies lately?
Geez, I'm trying to think of the last movie I saw. Actually, the last movie I saw was the new X-Men.
Okay, how was
movie.
that?
Big blockbuster entertainment. I'll put it at that.
Okay.
Fun story.
If you're in the genre, that's
exactly.
good.
If you like the Marvel comic type things, it'd be. It was a good movie, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Patriots good enough to win the Super Bowl this year?
I like to think so.
Yeah. You get Tom Brady, you got a chance, right?
Right. They certainly did well without him, and have done pretty well with him. So things are looking good so far.
All right. Thanks for coming again on again,
Anytime,
Mike.
Sean.
Appreciate
Really
the time,
appreciate
and we'll touch base with you maybe next summer to hear more about this traffic study that's going on, to try to get some information out to folks then.
Hopefully they come up with the magic bullet to make traffic move smoothly.
Yeah, and good luck this winter with all the plowing and everything.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for watching Town Topics. Reminder, you can watch these episodes on WCTV's government channel as well as on WCTV.org. We're also starting to launch these in a podcast format, so you can find the link to that on our website, or you can head over to SoundCloud and check out WCTV podcasting so you can listen to these on the go. We'll see you next time. Take care.